Hello, Internet. Welcome to Discover RPG Power Hour, that lunchtime break for you while we talk and celebrate every letter of the acronym RPG. We talk making games, running games, buying games, playing in games, all the aspects of role playing that we enjoy, and we package it all into a quick little hour of fun. I am Angela, this is Logan, and we are your hosts for this hour, and we're both apparently very distracted. I'm buying games on Steam, and he's doing something that is causing him to make a face.
This is where I sit, but it's got me off to one side for some reason. So I just don't.
Why?
There. Nope, that's not right.
We hope you are all having a wonderful November 20th, because it is almost Thanksgiving, and we are going to be off for that week. So this is your last Discover RPG for 2 weeks.
Oh, wait, 2 weeks.
No.
I have very.
This is very important. This is a very important
object
stream
permanence. So if we go 1 week without the show, I think it's over forever. So
No.
I'm like a goldfish or a dog.
I see. Okay.
And as soon as the shows leave the door for the morning to go to work, I'm just like, no, they're gone forever.
And that's why we make you produce them.
Yeah, so I'm always here.
And
I'll be sitting here going, where is everyone next week?
I'm not sure how I feel about this fiction.
I'll just put puppets behind everyone's screen. I'll just put in clips of Sesame Street and overdub them.
That won't be a
difficult
copyright issue either. So, okay. So how are you doing today? I know
very
you
tired,
you like me,
and I am in the House of Plague. So, and I guess I brought it in since I'm the one getting over it fastest. But
you were patient zero.
Yeah, I was well, for our house, definitely. So yeah, no, it's taking care of things and having to do everything while still sick myself. But other than that, I'm okay. I've been playing a new RPG, which has been a lot of fun.
I'm aware.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about. If you watch any of our shows yesterday, you'll know that I surprised my wife with a purchase that I shouldn't have made. But she's very, very forgiving. Yeah, I've just been, we had a really good shenanigans yesterday. I had a lot of fun with that. Had a lot of new people come by. We'll talk about that today, I'm sure. It's been a really good couple of weeks.
I agree.
It's been a really good week since the last time we were here.
I've had a good time too. So what do we want to talk about today? Today is what? So we played Shenanigans yesterday. Well, mostly talked about Shenanigans yesterday. Yesterday was our save point.
Yeah.
So we create save points in order to allow for an easy on-ramp for new viewers. So we try to push that as if you're gonna jump in at a save point because we're gonna talk about the show.
It's kind of funny because I almost would recommend this type of session for a lot of people. If you're not the type of people
100% agree.
If you're not the type of people that talk about your game constantly. Now we've had games where we never stopped talking about them behind the scenes. But if you're not the type of person that's constantly talking about it, you got lives and things, every arc or every other arc, sitting down and recapping kind of what's been going on, especially if your DM is not the note taker type, it can be very helpful to kind of put everyone back. Because after yesterday, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. And I was just following the whole story and going, wow, this got me really excited for the whole entire arc. Just kind of see all of it start to come together. And it's just kind of cool to kind of reminisce about it.
I think Shenanigans has surprised a lot of us in a couple of ways. I think it's surprising... One, how long we've been doing it. I think just thinking about how long of a campaign it's been going on.
We started that when we started Nerdsmith.
Yeah, how invested we've become in the less goofy aspects of the game. Partly because we started it a little less goofy.
I was going to say, we started a little bit serious. I was actually talking to Kyle last night about this. I really because you and I talked a little bit about, the goofiness getting in the way sometimes, and unfortunately it's for an audience. So you got to kind of balance that. But I told Kyle, I said, part of what I think the audience enjoys and what I'm starting to really enjoy is the challenge of dealing with these goofiness, the things that we can't control, the things that just kind of happen, like, life. but in a ridiculous sense. And the audience gets this double-fold enjoyment. They get to see me struggle, try to incorporate it, and then they get to see you struggle trying to live with it. And I think the idea that they're serious characters, that they're dealing with real-life things, and then there's this goofiness, is part of the charm of the game. Whereas,
I think we've talked a little bit about moving forward, and
because eventually these characters are going to be done. We're going to start new characters. Yeah, that's going to happen. It's just when.
We do have chaos mongers in our audience, Tessa, and one of their names is Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew's amazing.
But we've talked a little bit about maybe how to make that incongruity a little easier on the players, and I think part of that's just expectations. But I think for me personally, building a character that has a serious storyline, but that I'm not chomping at the bit to explore it all the time, would help me. Where I'm sort of like constantly like, I want to talk about stuff, I want to do stuff, and I have to always be like, it is not the tone to be doing that today. Whereas I think in the future, I already have a character idea, and this person will have, like, you know, heartstring things that you can tug, but I think she'll be able to exist in a weirder world without me getting anxious.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that, Kyle and I, because you know, I understand the need and that desire to explore those things, and I think that and we talked about that, how you kind of set that up from the beginning, and I kind of grabbed onto it, and you and I both agreed it was like, this is a long thing. And now we're going, well, it's becoming a lot longer than we thought, I think. Because it's hard to get to those moments. But I think that I think that over the next arc, we're going to see some seriousness. Because we're starting to get into what, for me, there's always a moment in a campaign that hits for me, and I go, and it happens several times often. It's just, I'm like, oh, I've got it. It's that I've got it, that eureka moment. And last arc, especially with having Ren there and things, putting that information together, seeing, you know, everybody has something in their character they want me to incorporate. And some things are very easy. I can build in from the beginning. Some things don't come right away, and they just happen to come, you know, eventually. And then some things, you're a year and a half into a campaign, and you're like, this has been this character's driving force this entire time. I have no idea what to do with it. I don't know how to incorporate it. Then all of a sudden, you know, you have a guest come on and they incorporate the same thing. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, dominoes fall. And now I know exactly where this person belongs. And it almost looks intended. It almost looks like this has been the big bad or whatever.
Well, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of RPG Happy Accidents, is a combination of latching onto those moments when they present
which will
themselves.
Be the name of my memoirs.
I thought the last one we did was vagueness and coincidence. Those were the key two elements of
it's the Bob Ross
intentional looking stories.
It's the Bob Ross way of the storytelling.
There's no mistakes, just happy accidents.
It's just, you just keep putting them together, and then, oh, I got a little brown there. Let's turn it into a happy little tree that sleeps with your mother.
Where that was going, I wasn't sure where that was going. By the way, I'm editing the very last episode of Infinite Tea Gauntlet for the podcast right now. That'll be out on Thursday or tomorrow. And it is hilarious listening to the very end of that episode, which has to do with the end of Bonnie and Merrick's date. And Merrick's mom is like, are you sure about Bonnie? Or are you sure about Merrick? Or no, fuck. She just goes, okay. And then walks away. And then turns around and goes, are you sure about Arthur? And Merrick goes, I don't think anybody is. And then she goes, I am. And she leaves. And everyone's just like, fucking 2 for 2, Mike. And we just go on this riff about moms and Mike. But yeah, just it's fun being in like weirdly 2 different timelines right now for me. But we'll be doing the save point then the next episode, which I will probably be very lightly editing. I won't be touching that one much because I'm like, we just did a save point. I don't think I'm gonna have the mental capacity for doing that.
Yeah. Yes, Tessa, DM rule number 3, keep your mouth shut. Which is, I think, the only rule I've solidified.
You only know number 3.
I knew it wasn't going to be the number 1 rule. There's much more important things. I knew it probably wasn't going to be number 2, so I just stuck it at number 3. Why moms? Why moms?
Because it's the one thing they can't replace.
That's horrible. Part of it is character reactions. The moms often are very sacred things to players, and when you just kind of touch upon those things in game, just hint at them, they get a reaction. And when they get a reaction,
nobody wants to think about their parents having sex.
Well, there's that too. But it's that there's just those little, like with Sildana back in Countless Heroes, there was just this, these little moments of the mom kind of not being a nice person. I just knew that they were kind of modeled after evil stepmother and Madame Gothel and Mother Gothel, and so it started that way, and the reactions we got just became so visceral. It was like, okay, we're just gonna kind of go there. It wasn't meant to be the main character or one of the main antagonists for the first arc. It just kind of happened because of the reactions that other people gave it. And so when we come into Shenanigoons, which happened simultaneously, really. I mean, it was actually, or no, we started. When did the mother thing start happening? Was that in the podcast?
That was. Oh, and yeah, that was definitely a joke.
So they were kind of starting to happen.
The moment she got introduced,
so it was like joking. Right after, yeah. But it was.
She fed him, and it was.
I think that was
the deal was sealed.
But she was feeding everyone. But the idea that Kyle ran with it. Kyle ran with this, with the idea. Had Kyle been like, "Oh, good luck, mom, have fun," whatever, then. It would never have been a thing. But because Merrick, Kyle's character, decided to go, and react to it, it became part of the show. And that is a lot of what I do, is I look at where the reactions are and I grab onto those things. One of the characters I love to create in every goddamn thing I do is the highly intelligent, overly flamboyant wizard character, who always starts out in my mind as this is going to be one of the antagonists, and somebody ends up falling in love with them, and I'm like, I can't. They're just they're too pure and too awesome, and that's not going to happen. So they end up turning into the lovable miscreant that has a hidden past, which is kind of weird. There's so many parallels in the 2 major games I've done for streaming.
Mm-hmm.
3 games, I guess now. So.
Someday I want to hit on someone's mom.
Yeah, but I've also, and it's funny because I've introduced a few fathers here and there, and it never seems to happen that way with the fathers. It's like nobody connects with them in those ways.
Challengers?
Oh yeah, no, I would love to see that happen. But people also don't seem to have, and this is part of our society, and it's not a great thing because it's a little sexist, but people don't have that my dad doesn't have sex mentality. I don't want to think about my dad having sex. A lot of times the dad, it's like the virile, whatever, blah, 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 and so yeah, oh yeah, dad got laid, woo, it's, you don't think about it like, oh yeah, mom got laid, woo. It just doesn't sound right because of the way that we've been trained in life and the way we talk about things.
I did not expect this episode to turn into like the philosophy of mom stupping. Not what I was expecting today. Parental stupping? Is that the better way to phrase that? I don't think there is a good way to phrase that.
Parental poking.
Anyway, how are y'all doing today?
Yeah, so that was that. So, but yeah, so what we were actually talking about was, what?
It didn't know how to say stupping, so it decided mom stripping was the word.
Well, I mean,
I don't think it was ever going to get translated in a good way. So.
Stupp is a word, though, isn't it? Is it
Yeah, but it's
not Yiddish?
Yiddish
Is
or
it Yiddish?
German.
I
It's
can't.
one or the other. They're
Willy von
related.
Stubb, it's
So.
probably German,
Yeah.
knowing Mel Brooks.
Yiddish and German are very linguistically connected
That's
in
true.
terms of a lot of the like origin words and stuff. But yeah.
But what we're actually talking about was
corner.
the silliness and trying to be serious, and on top of that, and that is something that I was trying. Like, you had a moment last night that so this character Toad Frog got introduced by Critical Bard, and there's a moment when you were talking about what would you do if you had the vortex manipulator.
Yeah, I really wanted to ask people that.
And that was a perfect moment to introduce All I Want for Christmas. And I'm not sure which happened first. I can't remember if my brain was like, oh, that was a moment that would have been great, or it was like I was trying to get it set up and I couldn't. But that was also a moment where I'm trying to do this more, is it was a deep philosophical moment. I kind of wanted to let that be explored. And it was funny because I don't think anybody else was quite ready for it. And it was just like, kind of hit everyone's like, oh, we're actually like, this is an actual role-playing quiz. We're not just being silly and goofy. And finding that balance is gonna be difficult, I think, sometimes, which I kind of like. I like that challenge. I think that's why Shenanigans is doing so well, is because of that, that challenge. But
you and I have talked a little bit about, if you don't mind me pontificating a little bit on the reason for that question. You and I have talked a little bit about the fact that from a morality standpoint, Adelaide's very torn about the existence of that thing. And I'm sure a lot of the players are. That the idea of being able to change something in the right hands, that's not the worst thing in the world she can think of. Especially given the fact that the Birchfield has been on this pedestal for her for so long. And yeah, this idea that, given the right justification, I could see her going either way with its existence. It's not like it's really in our hands right now. It doesn't, not that we know. I think we've established we don't know that thing is somewhere else. We assume the Birchfield still has it.
But you'll get more of that information after you come back and talk with Helmsfar.
And I knew I wanted Adelaide to ask for that appointment. That was in my head since we knew we were going to do the save point. I'm like, she doesn't trust what this thing could be used for. She feels like, especially now, oh my god, making her a gold proctor, like, I added
the guise of being the heroes in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I love. And people, not to talk too much about it, but I've been doing shit since episode 2. And when we start talking about more stuff, go back and listen to the show. I feel like I did a really good job of peppering a bunch of shit in. In this episode especially, just the idea that she didn't immediately put the pin on. She shoved it in her pocket. She didn't think about putting it on and showing it proudly because she's not sure how she feels about it anymore. That question was very pointed because she has a lot of both concern about being on the right side and concern about how it might be used, and she's been mulling it about a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem is this is one of my games, so you have to understand there is no. I mean, there are sides, but there's not just two.
But in the situation of like us functionally, we do not seem to be on the same side as the Birchfield. Like that's the line she's drawn.
Who
right
in the
now.
Birchfield?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's the question, because if you're talking about certain directors, it's one way. If you're talking about other directors, it's a completely different way. If you're talking about some of your fellow party members, they're a third way. Robin was a fourth way. I have different ways that different people want to either use or not use, or what they think should be done with this device. Everybody has their own agenda right now, and
I mean, I'm not remotely surprised that everyone isn't going to continue to have their own agenda, because the whole point of this thing is you can change reality. Or somebody's in power. Power power can create a lot of very convoluted alliances and motivations. So I love it, Tessa. I love your tinfoil. Yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about during the save point was people's crack theories.
Yeah, and we it went a little bit long, the recaps. We're going to work on that for next time, but also I don't think every time we need to do the entire thing. I just thought it was time because it's such an important moment.
Tell me all of them, Tessa. I want to hear all your crack theories.
Next time. Next time on Shenanigans.
We never really fully embraced that. Next time on Shenanigans.
We'll do that.
It's so fun to say. Next time on Shenanigans. So I I forgot what I was gonna say. It did have to do with this continuing to talk about this.
That's right.
Yeah, it's probably fine. But yeah, I've been really digging the show so far, and I'm really excited to continue with the storylines, and yeah, I'm just super excited in general. It's probably for the best that I forgot what I was gonna say, because I like talking too much. I should be keeping more stuff close to the chest here.
Shenanigans has become my baby. It's the only game I DM really right now. We've got our little behind the scenes game that I haven't done much with in the past few months because I've been sick or busy, but for the most part, it's the only game I DM, and all of a sudden, sometime between Infinite T and this arc, actually no, it was probably the one right after that. It was.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? It reminds me a little bit of how Taz took a while to get going. I'm not comparing, but at the same time, I think it's symptomatic of a lot of long-term campaigns that it takes a little bit for everyone to get into their characters and to really understand them, and to start, instead of discovering their own character, they're now discovering how they relate to each other. Yeah. And discovering new things about themselves.
I think also part of it is that we were learning a lot of things with the network and with everything, and learning how to stream for an audience. We could do an entire series on just advice for people who want to stream to audiences, and we probably will. It's a very different type of game style, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with the idea that the audience is a factor. There are some streams that can get away without having to worry about the audience. 99% of streams do need to worry about it. So anyway, but Shenanigans, but I think the original point we were trying to make was we're talking about the idea of trying to play in this world that is both serious and goofy, and that's
I remember what I was
difficult line. Oh, go ahead.
We were talking about the save point. And I was saying that at the end of the episode, Kyle made a suggestion about streamlining the summaries a bit more, which I think would be very helpful. Having a fill-in sheet. Yeah. What were the 3 most important events that happened during that thing? What were like the 2 most important interpersonal things that happened during that? Who were the most important NPCs, and a 1-sentence description of each of them or why they were important? Like, I think we need a sheet so that we can then do a retrospective and fill it out. Because one thing we didn't get to, and I've wanted to do it since day one, is doing almost like a little mini interview with each of the characters about like who they are, where they started, and what they've learned so far. And I think that would be a really fun thing to put in, whether it's in or out of character. I think a little bit of a character study would be really interesting.
We should do a fireside chat for the Christmas, like a little Christmas episode of the Shenanigans, talking about that to release. We could release during. We could release during the holidays. That might be something we could do this weekend.
Would that be something that we would basically upload it and play it as a rerun on stream? Yeah, I like that.
I think that'd be a neat thing. And then
it's our Shenanigans Christmas special.
Our Shenanigans Christmas special. I think that's done.
Give me a couple days. I'll get a Christmas layout out. We'll have a little intro. It'll be delightful.
Well, I have a Christmas layout for our Christmas. Not for Shenanigans. We should have a special one for Shenanigans.
Yeah, super special Christmas. It'll be very Dickensian.
It'll be pajamas. It'll be Christmas. It'll be.
Okay, I felt terrible just now.
What?
I said it would be very Dickensian, and I was like, yeah, I'll even put a little crutch in the corner.
Perfect.
I feel terrible. Oh, I'm
An
sorry.
empty
That's
stool and a
awful.
crutch without an owner.
Right in the corner of the, of the layout. It's Bugnut's crutch.
Oh God.
Oh no, one of his animals bit him. It's fine.
Yep.
He'll be fine.
Dissolved his foot right off. He's got a ring of regeneration on. Oh, I stepped inside of Blurp.
One of the things that I think for some of us will help with the incongruity of tone with Shenanigans is future sessions, just having different campaigns to scratch different itches. I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah, because next year we've got in February we're going to be starting what I think we're calling Shadows of Vale, which is going to be a horror themed D&D 5e campaign. I think we are going to stick with D&D just because it's Vale and we've done mostly D&D up till now. There's a chance we might change that, but
I have an idea that might change it up, but that's in the future. It's not right now.
And
it's like quarter 4 of 2020.
That's going to be maybe. At least one. I've got an entire season of that, so that'll be coming. And I think right now we've got Matthew, Angela, Tessa, and Andy dropped.
Yeah, he's not going to be in it.
And
there's somebody
Gabby,
else.
I think. But Gabby may.
Yes, Gabby.
We'll talk about it with Gabby because she got some noise where she's
we'll
living
work it
now,
out.
so we'll figure it out. Anyway, so that's going to be coming in February, hopefully. And
I'm very excited about fully embracing. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll have to set some tone rules where it's like, silly's okay, but we're gonna be.
Well, this is a
back
horror
to serious.
campaign.
Back to
this
serious.
is 99%. This will be serious, and the audience interactions will not be so much as interactions as kind of behind the scenes stuff. But there'll be some significant ways the audience can affect the game as well. So
cool. No, I'm excited.
It's gonna be very cool.
No.
But yeah, so having but we were talking about having those different tonal games would be very helpful.
That's this is a conversation that I had. Who did I have this conversation with? I don't remember who it was. But the idea that you don't need to make a campaign be everything that you want out of role playing. There is always another game. There is the beauty of playing games as a hobby is that every game doesn't have to be everything. So you can say, no, I want a really goof-tastic campaign that nobody, we're just not committing to anything serious. We're just, this idea of walking right into a session 0 and saying, this is low stakes, this is low commitment, we are gonna goof the fuck off, and it is okay to be silly. That is what this is for. And if people don't want to play that kind of game, or that's not what they were expecting, there are other games. There's always other games you can find and play.
Yeah,
and I really love the fact that we're in a position that we can just play something different at some point, or palate cleansers, all sorts of stuff. I think, I really dig that. It's taken a lot of pressure off of the games that we play to get into that mindset a bit more. That if you don't get what you want out of a session or out of a game, that's okay. Just find something else.
Yeah.
I mean, you can keep playing the game that you're playing, but just you can adjust your expectations and find something that will meet those other needs that you have.
Yeah.
And luckily we are surrounded by people that really love playing games and running games and stuff. So, I mean, I acknowledge the privilege of having such a kick-ass group of people to just drop everything and play a game sometime. That's me saying that's what I'm thankful for Thanksgiving.
Ooh, yay! I'm thankful I have such a wonderful and understanding wife.
Thank you for letting him buy Star Wars.
Speaking of, since you brought it up, It's an RPG. We can talk about it. I love it.
I bought games on Steam today because the Play Remotely Together sale is on, and we're not sponsored by Steam. But I just bought 2 games I just bought a bunch of multiplayer games, including Drawful, because we've been playing a bunch of Jackbox games. And I will own Drawful because it's my favorite of the games that Jackbox has, and we will play it soon. But I also bought Logan Goat Simulator. So we're gonna see how that goes.
Yes. So yeah, we do that. We're going to be doing community events over on our Discord, and we'll probably do some streams and just have fun with it.
I think that would be fun to do during the holidays if we wanted. Be like, those are really low pressure, where it's like we're not trying to put on a specific game. It's like, no, we're just gonna goof off.
Yep. Stars. Bye.
Yeah. That happened during Shenanigans, if I remember correctly.
I'm sure it did.
I had an edit and I marked it in my edit with a flag that said, "The moment we all lose our goddamn minds." I'm pretty sure it's still in the edit file.
That's amazing.
Let me think. I mean, since sometimes we take the opportunity for the Power Hour to be like a what's going on with Nerdsmith thing.
Sure.
I got some writing done today and yesterday. Well, not today. I woke up very late. But yesterday I got some writing done. I have a co-writer on the slightly overdue Threads in the Veil audio drama series. But
good things are worth waiting for.
Well, it's been 2 years since the pilot came out, which is a lot.
It can't be 2 years.
It came out.
Hasn't been around
it's
for
almost 2 years.
Almost
it
2
came
years.
out
Yeah,
in April of 2018.
5 months. 5 months from now.
But so I'm trying to make an assessment right now. I'm making sure that I still have contact with all of my voice actors that I originally had. One of them is a bit radio silent, so I don't know if they're still doing stuff. So I might need to recast at least one character, but that's not too bad. And it's a character that is very flexible. So I think. Mm-hmm. But what's really cool is I'm going to have to talk to Kyle a little bit, because in the audio drama series, we're going to be dealing with the Iron Roses.
Oh, nice.
And so Kyle has a little bit of a conception of them. You might have some conceptions of them if you want to talk a little bit. But this idea that they are mostly in the goods business. the smuggling, fencing, so the transportation and acquisition and offloading of goods. I don't remember if the Lotus pads were specifically just thievery or if they had like other things that they were into. I would have to ask Kyle.
That's a Kyle question.
But each of the families have their own little MOs that they're
you stay in your lane, you know?
Yeah, it's how all of these crime families can exist copacetically in Ashport is by staying in their lanes. Or figuring out where those lanes can intersect safely.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that when it comes to making thieves guilds is you have to look at them like they're businesses. These people are here to make money.
They are. They're businesses.
You know?
They just work outside the law in terms of how they make their money.
You know, they're chaotic businesses as an alignment. Or at least true
chaotic business. That's a great alignment. I love it.
So
are you chaotic business or lawful hobby?
Ooh. But that's the big thing, is you got to think of, none of them want to have turf wars. None of them want to be fighting all the time. Any guild like that is they're not going to survive long, and they're not going to be very powerful. People don't want to do that. They want to make money and they want to survive. So the idea of working together in a lot of situations, even if it's tense, it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. Just as a little sneak preview, Logan, I don't know if I talked to you about this, but my character plan for the whatever happens next with Goonies is going to be another crime family in Ashport that I want to play around with.
Cool.
A group that deals in political intrigue and secrets and that sort of thing.
Very nice.
So I'm playing around. I had Kyle help me figure. I basically went crazy with my Google Translate super list that lets you. It's a spreadsheet that lets you put words in, and it gives you all the translations that Google Translate can do. So I have that, and then I also had a guild generator, like a thieves guild name generator. So I was playing around with all of that, and we're actually Tessa, Kyle informed me that the Ravens are defunct. They don't exist anymore.
Yeah, the Ravens don't exist anymore.
They're an old guild, and so I don't know what happened to them, but. I'm debating right now between a couple of things. Right now I really like the name The Courage of Trust. I think that would be a fun guild name. But so I'm playing around with the idea right now is just making another guild family. The 7 happened.
They did. Well, I mean, that was all part of that episode that we created and learned about the Ravens. Was that it was obvious that Robin at least knew. That was another one of those hints that was supposed to tie the idea of Robin over to his husband, because his husband, you found out, was part of the Ravens. I don't remember how, but and then Robin knew the what's called Raven Scratch, which is their form of thieves guild.
That's awesome.
There was a lot of little subtle connections that was supposed to kind of show that the person that got kidnapped or killed or whatever was Robin's husband.
Sure. But yeah, so I've been testing out. I've been doing way too much prep for this character because I love character work. It's like my favorite thing with RPGs. I love practicing voices and having conversations with myself to try to figure out personality, and I love doing that. I definitely missed my calling partly because of anxiety and stage anxiety. As doing more acting, because I love it, but I could never get up the nerve to do it in front of people. See, actors who can do things in front of people are actors. Actors who can't do things in front of people become writers. It's like, I'm just gonna act for myself and then write it down. So yeah, I'm very excited about that other tone of game, the horror game. I think it's going to be really cool. We can all embrace our edgelord a little bit to let this horror game exist. I am very excited about whatever happens next with Shenanigans, both in this arc and in future arcs. I think that will be very cool. I'm really proud of Shenanigans in general. I think I agree. It's pretty fucking fun.
I think it's entertaining. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's making money. I mean,
it took us how long to come up with a name for it, but I'm glad we came up with the name we came up with. and I still insist that the idea is that Shenanigans is not this group of proctors. We are Shenanigans, and it's whatever we play within that space.
Yeah. Oh, we're definitely going to keep the Shenanigans stream rolling.
Cool.
Just like the Adventure Zone or any of the it's just that's our group, which the group might change up a little bit, but yeah,
we'll still have fun. What else? You can tell we really had a game plan for today.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about Ron Weasley and the Temple of the Fallen Order, but
yeah. I saw a clip from somebody who was streaming in which a Sith or an Empire person took off their helmet, and it was like a hot girl of South Asian descent, and she just went, "Oh, she's hot!" and she couldn't get through the rest of the scene because
I just went through that scene last night. It is a great reveal. It was not the tragic backstory I was expecting to exist within this, but it was very, very good. And to have that character, I mean, that character is in a skin-tight catsuit, basically, so you can tell that they're attractive, but you don't know if they're obviously corrupted by the Sith, and the Sith, they're corrupted by the dark side. The dark side has a tendency to distort the way people look. And yeah, no, it was a nice reveal. not the attractiveness, just the story in general. But no, the story, it's actually been very, very good. It right up front made me care about all the characters. It's just very good writing, very good storytelling overall. For somebody who is not big into platformer type games, I'm not very good at them, and I'm not very good at the melee style. It has the ability. It has what's called story mode. I appreciate they didn't call it easy mode.
Thank God. Yeah. No, I am such. You know what? I don't even care about the easy mode part. I am such a supporter of story modes in games.
Yeah. Well, I like because that's what it is.
It's about accessibility and it reaching a wider audience.
And here's the thing: you can change on the fly. So you can get to a hard part and change to story mode and then go back to a challenge with the normal part. So I went to one particular planet. They call it, it's like, this is going to be the worst. It's horrible. Like every time they're like, it is. They're like, every moment they're just giving you another warning about it. You're walking out the door. They give you a warning. You're down the steps. They give you a warning. You're like, Jesus, okay. And yeah, I done like 50 times. I'm like, wait a second, story mode. And all of a sudden the damage drops to 10% instead of, of what it was. And I'm able to get through that part of the story. And yeah, it was optional. And yeah, there's other things. I could have gone other places and done other things first. Well, it's not optional, but you can go to different places and choose where you go, which I also love. It feels open, but there's also, it's very clear about, here's the main plot. If you want to do the main plot, here's where it is. And you can go look at these other places. And I'm glad I did, because you learn a lot, and you meet a very enigmatic character. And I'm like looking through their cloak, and I'm going, is that Ewan McGregor? I'm like, is that? Oh, it kind of clicked. It's like who it might be in this timeline, and it's sorry, spoilers. I don't know for a fact that is, but it was just like, it just hit me. I was like, because they got a lot of the face likenesses, and it just helped. It was just like, because he's gone a little crazy, maybe, if that's who it is. It's like, yeah, a lot of them did. We know he's still alive at this point, because this happened right after episode 3. We know he's still alive because he's, obviously, but it's just like, holy crap, you're like, what, wait, why would he be here? You just start learning this stuff, but he's talking crazy, the voice isn't quite right, but then all of a sudden it just like slips in and it is right, and you're like, it's perfect. I loved it. I was so excited. But as somebody who, I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I don't read any of the extended stuff. I've only seen the movies. You don't even watch the shows, the television shows, except, well, Mandalorian now, which I'm also excited about, which is probably the reason why I got into this. But for the most part, what I'm saying is great storytelling, and it's easy for somebody who just wants to enjoy the story, but it's not, story mode is not, it's not impossible to fail. There are still tough battles, even with story mode, but not like overwhelmingly defeated like I wanted to walk away from the game. They become doable. They're just a grind at that point. And I just really like that.
I read the extended universe all the time as a kid. I really dug the fact that the extended universe started digging a little bit more into Leia. She actually started being able to, and then there's hints of it in the movies later, but she actually started getting to embrace her force sensitivity, which was really nice to have that start being a part of her storyline. She did build a lightsaber, but they definitely emphasized the fact that she had far more skill.
Which one is this in?
Well, any of the books.
Oh, okay.
Like a good chunk of the books involve her having force sensitivity and training
nice.
with her brother and that kind of thing. Conflict of interest felt really appropriate. But like Han and Leia had children in the extended universe that they had a kid, or no, they didn't have a kid named Ben, but they had twins, so there was another continuation of like the twin thing. I loved they had a young adult series that was all about the twins at the Jedi Academy that Luke made. And what was really fun was one of the first books that I read was called The Courtship of Princess Leia, which was like a weird Star Wars rom-com kind of thing, where it was like, nice. Han wanted to propose to Leia, but then it turned out that there was this other royal like solar system that, like, oh well, you're the last person who runs Alderaan, and you're the last survivor, and I run this entire consortium of planets. We should just get married, and then it'll cause, like, they were trying to barter a peace with the new republic that existed, and so Leia was finding this political pressure to marry this dude because it would be like a huge armada that could protect them against the remnants of the Empire. And they're like, I might have to do this, and Han's like being fussy, wanting to marry her.
Right.
And he finds out that he inherited, or he won in a gambling bet, he won a planet. And he goes, or like wins the deed to a planet. And he goes, oh well, look, I have property now. I can marry her. And they go to this planet, and there's Force witches there, and they're like intense. There's some Sith-like ones, and there's like Jedi ones. This is where Rancor comes from. Yeah, it's Dathomir.
Oh, Dathomir, yeah. That's one of the planet. That's the Death Planet. Yeah. The story mode planet, I call it.
Well, yeah. Then there's Rancors, and they ride Rancors, and they're like Amazonian Jedi ladies, and it's pretty great. And in that book specifically, it really veered
not
from
great after episode 3.
It's great in the book. Well, after episode 3, sure, it's great after episode 6.
Yeah, right now it's not that great.
But yeah, there's a scene in particular that has completely. Oh, that book is a little problematic. Han tranks Leia and steals her away to Dathomir. Like, that should be the line. Sorry, Han, you don't get to marry someone if you kidnap them. But so. Anyway, there is a scene where Han gets the shit kicked out of him by a Dathomirian witch lady. It involves little Force explosions and teeth. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But that book just really it scratched an itch of like wanting to continue the story, and it was okay written. At the time I was really young, so I didn't catch that consent questionability.
Yeah.
But what was cool was later in the young adult series, the prince who wanted to marry Leia in the first place, his daughter goes to the twins like school, and she's there, and she goes through this really powerful storyline where she tries to, in an effort to be like, I want to get my lightsaber done really quickly, she rushes it and forces some pieces to get together, and when she practices with it, it explodes and she loses an arm. Okay. And she spends the rest of her existence in all of the book series without an arm. She refuses the cybernetic like enhancement thing. She's like a proud Force witch, and she's like, no, I am capable the way I am. I'm gonna learn how to live like this. I don't want to have tech improving me. And she has this sort of, I mean, it's a little assistive device, but at the same time, she's just insistent on, this is how I choose to exist.
But she's got the Force, so I mean,
she does have the
Force. It's
the
like,
Force is its own assistive device.
Yeah. So it's just a different type. It's like I want to take my magic instead of my mechanical.
Yeah. Well, I really dig that, and as these books aren't canon anymore.
Yeah,
it's okay. And there's too many books.
I was going to say, I'm about to spoil something rotten, so go ahead.
They do a really interesting thing in the later phase of the book series, which is very divisive for a lot of people. There's a whole group that are from a different galaxy, these warlords, and they're like anti-Force. Mm-hmm. They're not affected by the Force, so they can fuck up Jedi. And one of the Solo twins, goes to the Sith. And so there is an actual, like, the twins fighting each other to the death, and one of them has to kill the other. And it's very, like...
That's awesome.
Oh, I have, like, 10 years I've been reading these books and then finding that out, and I was just, like, really sad. And it would be way more emotionally affecting sometimes than some of the things that are in the films. Anyway,
so
I'm done.
My only experience with the books is through a buddy of mine who loved them and would tell me all these stories, and I don't know most of them.
Does this involve a moon?
Yes. So
it involves a moon.
But this relates back to a story from the prequels where there's a Jedi, which we all know, his lightsaber says bad motherfucker. And he said, I don't mind playing a Jedi. I would love to play a Jedi, but I have one caveat.
I don't want to go out like a
punk. I think he said bitch, but I don't want to go out like a punk. and he ends up getting...
He fell off a building.
He fell off a building, basically. He got thrown off a building with some force lightning. And we cut back to the books where a beloved Wookiee...
To be fair, this person was not a Jedi. And I argue that, it would be fucking blaze of glory if there was ever going to be.
But that's what I'm saying, is that this idea of running and rescuing, is my understanding, another character, and this beloved Wookiee, who I won't mention the name of, just in case anybody wants to read it, has a literal moon dropped on them to kill them. That is not going out like a punk for me. That is what should have happened.
A fucking Star Destroyer should have crashed into the city, and that's how Mace Windu died.
Exactly. And that was always those two things. It's like,
or like split him in half like Darth Maul or something. Like make it, and even that. We're gonna spoil a bunch of shit. In one of the cartoon series, he fucking comes back. He got split in half and he fucking comes back.
Oh, that's cool.
And is there for an extended amount of time in a particular Star Wars cartoon.
Oh. Well,
I need to mark this entire episode as spoilers for any and all Star Wars content and media.
Vader's Luke's father.
Sorry, anybody watching? I'm gonna probably just like stick it on the screen that at this timestamp we talk about all Star Wars spoilers.
Star Wars spoilers.
You'll get caught up in the
Star Wars spoilers. Speaking of that, we should probably wrap up with our Cash Corner.
Sure. That's a good call. All right, well, I greatly appreciate everybody who stuck around with us for their lunch break. We are Discover RPG, and this is the Power Hour. And that was a burp. We wanted to thank really quick
it's better than Fartgate.
We wanted to thank our network, Nerdsmith. You can find more information at nerdsmith.org. And if you like what we do, or you like other shows that we have here on the network, you can discover them on nerdsmith.org. Or you can support us either here on Twitch or at our Patreon. Our patreon.com/nerdsmith. You can get you can contribute monthly to our network upkeep and helping us run the shows that we're doing, and
get some cool shit.
Yeah, and getting some cool shit. There's a bunch of tiers there that involve behind the scenes bonus content, special one-off episodes of things that aren't available to anybody else. They're only available to our patrons. You can help us with polls and things. We're trying to decide things about our bonus content, and we have the Nerdsmith Academy levels where. Were you just reading the thing and just laughing out?
No, I had somebody sneaking under my camera.
We have, you can join in the Nerdsmith Academy levels, where we'll be doing in the new year some educational content about how to do stuff. Like, for example...
Like what we were talking about earlier.
Well, not to drop the veil a little bit, but you can find out how to do green screen, because I just set mine up and it's really great and I very much enjoy it.
And so if you're looking to stream or anything, we're going to be talking about principles that we use to run our network, such as the fuck yeah or no principle, and the 65% principle, which was given to us by a gentleman that runs a nerdy, the only nerdy internet radio station. It's the only nerdy internet 24-hour radio station, which is, I can't remember the name of it right now, but you'll find out on there.
So we are part of Nerdsmith. We are proudly part of Nerdsmith, and we will be going on break for a week after this episode, because it is American Thanksgiving, and we're going to go hang out with our families. And last thing, I'm going to Harry Potter World for like the 50th billionth time. I keep going with people who've never gone before, so awesome. I have an interactive wand because I just bring it with me every time. And this year, for the next week, I have a little bit of time. I am going to make a holster for my wand, so I can wear it and not have it in a backpack, and it'll be fun. I'm fully embracing it this time. I was actually practicing a little bit what I was going to wear to the park.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm gonna make a holster that'll fit my wand and the little map. It's this long, like, fold-out map that shows you where all the little interactive locations are. So I'm gonna pop that in my pocket, or it's gonna be part of the. I searched on Pinterest and found a bunch of designs that people made.
You need to print it out as a Marauders map.
Right? Well, it looks like the Marauders
Oh,
map.
okay.
It's very pretty. So anyway, I'm doing that as part of my Thanksgiving events. And we are sponsored. We are so grateful and proud to be sponsored by Die Hard Dice, who
Yes.
make super cool metal and polymer dice sets. Here's a lid. It's not really. Anyway, you, you should check them out, especially now during the holidays. They have a bunch of really cool sales going on their shop, including a sort of grab bag of metal dice that they have. So if you're someone who likes, if you're not hung up about having a matching set, or if you want to do, say, character color schemes and stuff, you can actually get them for slightly cheaper than you would get a regular set of matching dice. So go check out their I think they're called like a rogue's bag or something.
Yeah.
And their tower, their dice tower, is on sale now.
The only folding dice tower.
It's really, really cool. It's a folding portable dice tower, turns into sort of a rectangular prism that you can pop onto a dice tray that you have. They actually have dice trays that you can buy that are the exact size of this thing if you want something that looks a bit more fitted. And they have their double scroll of rolling with beautiful art from Devin Rue. There's a dragon and a map. They might be sold out of those, but the dice tower still exists, and all the dice that they're selling, they also have holiday
They'll get more.
Dice. Yes, it's sold out right now. Which just means they're going to get more. And they have holiday colored dice that are really, really fun, red and greens with metal. They're really knocking it out of the park with their new color styles. So please check out dieharddice.com. We have a code, especially since it's the holidays. You should go to dieharddice.com and use the code DRPG for 15% off your first or next purchase. It works once per user account. So if you haven't used it yet, you should go do that now because they have cool stuff right now.
And that's where you're getting all of your holiday. We should do a holiday buying guide.
Yes, we should do something.
In 2 weeks, we can do a little holiday. Here's some cool RPG shit.
We'll have a meetup. Yes, we'll have a meetup and we'll talk about it.
That's our challenge.
We'll talk about our plans. Our challenge is to come. Sure, our challenge is to come up with 5 items that we think that people should buy for the holidays that are DRPG or not DRPG, but RPG and gaming related. Sounds good. And then we are also proud, and it's an absolute pleasure to be sponsored by World Anvil, worldanvil.com. They are the most robust campaign management software on the market. If you are a author, if you are a GM, if you just like creating cool worlds and writing about them, World Anvil is an incredible tool. And I just have to say from personal experience that it is an absolute pleasure to be a guild member on their Discord channel. I know that was a lot of jargon. A pay member on their community server that they run, because Demetrius works so hard as the core coder. He's always got his status on Discord as I'm coding anvils, and he's been showing a bunch of really amazing sneak previews of some of the features that they're doing. World Anvil now has a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. You don't have to know Blackboard code in order to format your
WYSIWYG editor. I was like,
WYSIWYG. WYSIWYG's the best word ever. They now have a what you see is what you get text editor. So as you're editing your articles, you can see all the stuff. You don't see the code by default. You actually see what the formatting is going to look like, which is so cool to actually put your articles together and see what they're going to be as you're editing. And they also came up with some other really good streamline, makes things faster sort of features. So please check out World Anvil and light up the Forge this holiday season.
Yeah.
Because they're amazing.
Can you do gift subscriptions with World Anvil?
That's a good question, and we should ask. Or you could just send someone some money on PayPal and say, this is specifically for World Anvil.
Buy it.
Yes, I highly recommend it. But World Anvil's free to try. It's got some incredible features for free. I've been exploring a little bit more of the guild features, though. You get some added, you can make more heroes in their social media area called Heroes, which is really, really fun. I'm excited to be able to work on novels and things, and I'm actually going to be making social media profiles for some of my novel characters, and let me explore kind of what their social media presence would be and explore them a little bit more as characters. So I'm very excited about the guild features, so please check them out. Once again, worldanvil.com. I think I'm done. went a little over today, but this has been the Discover RPG Power Hour. Thank you for joining us for your lunch break or your general afternoon silliness regarding RPGs. We will see you in 2 weeks. So not next week, but December 4th, we will be back. And it sounds like we will be back with our DRPG Power Hour Holiday Gift Extravaganza Guide. Or something.
Perfect. I want that title. We're putting, I don't know if it'll fit, but we're using that title.
All right, everybody. We love you dearly.
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us. Have a great holiday. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, do us a favor and be good to each other. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.